United Oil and Gas are moving forwards with their Jamaica program, having recently announced the intention to complete a piston core survey program to materially de-risk United's Walter Morant license, a 7 billion barrel prospective resource, increasing the value of the license and positioning United for a high value farm out. I'm joined again today by Paul Ryan, Geoscience Advisor to United Oil and Gas. Thanks for joining me again, Paul.
Yeah, hi Darren. Thanks. It's good to be talking to you again.
So, Paul, United have announced a formal contract has been signed now with TDI Brooks for the piston coring survey vessel. Before we talk about what piston coring actually is, why are United doing it?
Yeah, well, so United had an extension to the license earlier this year. So we now have the license till January 2028. And part of our commitment under the terms of the license is to conduct a geochemical or a surface geochemical survey or exploration survey, or
Mhm.
SGE for short, which includes the piston coring. It is a commitment, but we also believe that it makes a lot of sense to do this work because it's essentially a relatively low cost opportunity to try and validate the hydrocarbon system
Mm.
that we expect to find offshore and de-risk the prospectivity of the license effectively.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I think you had an independent study done by Lapidus, and it showed that if you did the piston core in, that there was a significant uplift in sort of the geological chances of success. Is that one of the driving forces behind doing the program as well?
Yes, yeah, well, that's very true, actually. Yeah, so IOPIDIS did that independent report for us there
Mm.
earlier this year in September, and really the idea is that the positive results from the piston coring will have a huge impact on the risk profile of the identified prospectivity. So, for
Mm.
instance, taking the example of the Calibri prospect, we would currently risk that about 1 in 5 chance of success. But
Mm.
if we have positive results from the piston coring, that will address two of the main risk elements, being the source rock presence and maturity. And in doing
Right.
so, could bring the risk profile to more of a 1 in 3 chance. So quite a significant positive impact on the risk profile.
Yeah, I mean, this is frontier exploration, isn't it? Jamaica. So if you're talking about an uplift, say from 19% to 32%, I mean that's pretty high, isn't it, for frontier exploration?
That's a massive jump in the first place,
Mm.
but also for frontier exploration, you're absolutely right. To have a 1 in 3 chance, or 32%, as you say, is really quite high. And I guess because we have a good a data set and a good
Yeah.
quality set, it gives us that confidence to be able to say we believe there is a 1 in 3 chance if we have positive results from the piston coring of exploration success at Calibri.
Mm. I mean, does this sort of completing this work as well? I think the answer is probably fairly obvious, but does it change any sort of, if you like, the discussions in the data room, for example? You're looking at a potential farm out partner at the moment. The company has said that you've got a number of potential, farm out partners in the data room. If you've completed this work and you get a positive outcome, as you said, is this going to strengthen the farm out discussions?
I think absolutely. I think if we have positive results, it can only be have a positive impact on the pharma discussions. I would say, because in getting positive results, we are further de-risking
Mm,
very a very interesting and very substantial database, and also the prospectivity that we see. The potential volumes that are on show are huge. So if we
mm.
can de-risk that further, I think there's going to be a positive read through for the pharma activity too. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. So, I mean, the piston coring program itself, I'm not really familiar. I've never heard of it before, to be honest. The first thing
Sure.
I ever normally hear when I'm looking at an oil and gas company as an investor is, when are you going to be drilling? So,
Sure.
this isn't a drill. This is if you like, a survey prior to perhaps making a drill decision. So the piston coring program itself, can you tell us more about what's actually going to be done here?
Yeah, absolutely. So the piston coring survey is essentially there's three aspects to the program. they're collectively known as a Surface Geochemical Exploration Survey, or an SGE survey.
Mm.
So the first aspect of it is to acquire what's known as a multi-beam echo sounder survey, and that is essentially a shipboard acoustic device which takes an image of the seabed and gives us a high-resolution image of the bathymetry, and that will include the locations that might be of interest in terms of seabed anomalies. And what I mean by that is like the likes of seabed depressions, circular seabed depressions, which we call pockmarks, which can often be present because of fluids venting at the seabed, which could be hydrocarbons. Um, as well as the echo sounder, there's another aspect too, which is backscatter as part of the echo sounder survey.
Yeah.
And that backscatter information can tell us a little bit more about the nature of the seabed, whether it's hard or soft, or, and if there's hydrocarbons, or if there's gas seeping at the seabed, it might give us an anomalous result there too.
Yeah,
So
you've had or Jamaica, should I say, has had onshore seepages, hasn't it? But obviously you can't go and sit above the sea and look down and see seepages.
yeah,
So is this what you're saying with these pot marks? It's like you put them down into the sediment or the mud below, and then you can check for presence of seepages. Is that right? Or
that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
So once you've got the I guess the echo sounder information, we'll take that and I guess join it with the other data that we have.
mm,
And on the basis of that, we will select a number of locations, which we will then do the piston coring on, which is effectively trying to find those anomalous seabed locations. And if they're coupled with anomalous seismic locations as well, so for instance, if we have some vertical, what look like fluid escape features that come to the surface around the same locations as these pockmarks, then that will be a primary location that we will try and sample with the piston coring, which is essentially taking a long metal tube with a heavy weight at the top of it,
mm,
dropping it down onto the seabed, and then once it reaches the seabed, using gravity to plunge into the soft sediment essentially, and take a core of the seabed sediment
right.
there back up to surface, and then to analyze that to see if there is indeed a hydrocarbon signature. And if there is a hydrocarbon signature, then that will be a very positive result, because that would suggest the presence of it, or what would suggest it will be proof of the presence of an active hydrocarbon system in the basin.
And how do you know where you're going down, that you're going down in the right place? I mean, obviously, offshore Jamaica is a big area. Have you got a lot of data now that has allowed you to pinpoint where you're going to be spending a lot of money on this program?
Yeah.
Have you got good data now that ups your confidence in actually if you like, coring in the right place?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. With the fact that we have the 3D seismic, I think is a game changer in terms
Mm,
of selecting locations, because we now have a 3D image of not just the seabed but also of the subsurface. So there are a number of interesting features, which are showing that there is suggestions that there's vertical fluid movement within the subsurface coming to the seabed. So that data is interesting. There are some anomalies as well, so amplitude anomalies, which could suggest the presence of shallow hydrocarbons as well. We also have the satellite slick analysis that was carried out, which suggests that there are some interesting features on the surface of the sea, which could be related to the seeping of hydrocarbons. So when we take all that information together, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence
mm.
for the presence of active seepage. And what we want to do with the piston coring is to actually ground truth that with a sample from the seabed that is telling us that we have hydrocarbons moving through the
Mm.
system.
I mean, that's not presumably doing the piston coring program isn't going to tell you where your potential drill targets are when you plan to drill, hopefully in say 2027, or following a successful farm out. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just telling you that there's a working petroleum system. Is that right? It's not actually giving you sort of where you're going to be putting drills, for example.
No, I think what we've already identified is the structures and the prospectivity. So, for instance, Calibri again is an identified
Yeah.
prospect. What we hope to do is be able to show that there is a working petroleum system close to Calibri,
Right.
um, and that working petroleum system is migrating hydrocarbons, and that Calibri would sit on a migration pathway from the basin areas where the kitchen areas are into the Calibri structure, and therefore there will be charge of hydrocarbons to it. So I think that the first thing that we want to do is show that there is an active hydrocarbon system to be able to validate that aspect of it, which will ultimately result in the de-risking of the prospect itself.
Hmm.
Um, and I think also one of the interesting things would be, we wouldn't expect to have a positive piston core in the location of the Calibri structure, because we would hope that the structure itself is holding the hydrocarbons in situ below the surface. So
Ah, right.
we
Okay.
would
Yeah.
expect
So,
to.
yeah.
So yeah, so we would expect that there may well be seepages off structure or at the spill
Mm.
point of the structure, but we would hope not to find one on the crest of the structure itself.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, have other companies done this type of survey before they've done drilling? And are there companies that have done this sort of survey and actually made their decision to drill and actually had success?
Yeah, yeah, it's a very an industry standard practice, really. Our partners who are going to be doing the work, the TDI Brooks,
Mm.
they have a global reputation for this type of work. They've carried out numerous surveys for a lot of the major companies as well, doing this exact type of survey to try and effectively go into an area where there may not be wells existing, and to try and find a location where you can point to the fact that you have proven hydrocarbons in the basin before going in and drilling a well. So yeah,
Mm.
it's a well established practice.
Okay. Well, in my last interview with Brian, he mentioned that United are confident that you're going to get a successful outcome from the program.
Yeah.
What is it that adds to the confidence? Why are you confident of that?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned already, we have a lot of circumstantial evidence
Mm.
in the license area, particularly in the area where we have 3D seismic. We have a validated hydrocarbon system onshore. There are a number of wells that have encountered hydrocarbon shows in them, and there are active seeps onshore. There is a similar geological history between the onshore and the offshore, so we'd expect to find what is onshore offshore. So we do expect there to be a hydrocarbon system there. On seismic, we have a number of these features that I mentioned already, which suggests the movement of fluids vertically from depth, culminating in seabed anomalies such as these circular depressions or pock marks that I mentioned. There are a lot of shallow seismic amplitude anomalies as well,
Mm.
and possible direct hydrocarbon indicators. And then, as I also mentioned as well, we have these satellite slick anomalies as well. So
Yeah.
when you put everything together, there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that comes together to suggest that there's a really strong possibility of an active hydrocarbon system in the license area. And I guess what we're hoping to do with the piston coring is to ground truth that circumstantial evidence into direct evidence for an active system.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it would. I mean, it'd be absolutely fantastic. If this is proven and the whole program leads to success, not least for Jamaica as well. Obviously, they've just been through a very tough time, and our thoughts go out to those in Jamaica recovering from the hurricane. Well, we look
Absolutely.
forward to the program starting shortly and seeing the results in the new year. Thanks again for joining me, Paul.
No problem.